All right. And we are live. Hey guys, just doing this for fun. Um, I don't know how to do this. Hey Sarah, what's up, girl? Oh my gosh, Ed's here. All right, I'm not nervous at all. Oh, hey guys. I'm doing something spontaneous, but I think it'll spark some great conversations. I don't know how to add people on this. Let me see. I'm trying to find my friend, but we're going to talk about a bunch of things. And I think it's time to have these interesting conversations, especially at a time like this during the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm going to figure this out. Give me 1 minute. Hold on. Do they have to be on here to join? Okay. Hey guys. I'm waiting for my friend, but he's late. How's everyone doing? The two people that are just on here. What's up, Judy? What's up, Jeanette? There's going to be some screen names that I don't know. Sorry. Is that Aaron? But just testing this out. Having another conversation. This time I'm sober. Last time I had a conversation, very intricate conversation, and it was good. But it was at 4 a.m. and had some tequila. But it helps open up some conversations. This is totally just out of the blue, testing things out, and I'm still waiting for my friend. So, Wayne is here. That's who I'm looking for. All right, guys. Whoop! He's late. Wayne's late. Don't worry. No pressure, Wayne. All right, I'm going to ask Wayne to join. Or maybe some of you guys can join later. Okay. All right. Wayne, it says you're unable to join. The conversation, I'm not sure why. It says you're unable to join. Does anybody know how to do this? I know. We have to do things the sober way. I don't know how to do this, Wayne. Okay. Oh, sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen. I love Mulan, by the way. Hello, everyone. Oh, yay! Woohoo! Yay! We're connecting to a friend. I'm calling my friend. Hey, guys that joined. What's up, Warren?
Katrina,
Hey!
hey, how's it going?
Hello. What's up, Wayne?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Hey, Danny. All the people that joined. I'm a hot mess. Nothing new with that, but excuse a mess behind. I tried to cover up. I'm okay. Just wanted to talk and have these interesting conversations. So, Wayne, um, guys, Wayne and I go way back. How do we
Way,
know?
way back.
Yeah.
USC Real Estate Club. First time I met you, we
What's up,
were on a
Amy?
Vegas trip.
Okay, let's not go to the Vegas trip, but this is the real estate, USC real estate. I met the coolest friends in these trips at USC, but
Me too. That's totally how I feel, and we're all like lifelong friends.
yeah, so Wayne, we were classmates, real estate, and what I don't know, we've just kept in touch. He stayed in real estate, and what else? I'm just
We're
not in real
talk
estate
no,
anymore.
no, really. You're like in many numerous things: film, Miss Chinatown,
No,
real estate
that was a while.
development. Yeah,
I tried. Real estate was not my thing.
life is
Um,
a marathon, Katrina. It's a
Life is a
marathon.
marathon. It
Nipsey
is a
Hussle.
marathon.
Nipsey Hussle. Life's a marathon.
Yeah. Um, so the reason why I want to do this, trying trying to do it so you guys don't see my messy room because I don't know it's gonna bad. But this is supposed to be
Oh,
totally
Katrina.
unscripted. And so the reason why we're doing this is because I always wanted to have these conversations where, especially since I am now trying to pursue more into film, writing and acting, I wanted to have these conversations that included people of a lot more diverse backgrounds. Whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement and it's happening now, and this is such a great time to support anti-racism, but also, have these conversations within ourselves because we're the next generation of these executives or higher, chairs potentially. And I wanted to have these conversations that were definitely more chill and low key, not scripted, um, more with my friends for now, because it's a more safe environment to speak with you guys about this stuff. So, yeah. So
I
thank you,
to
Wayne.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I could be part of it. And I think it's
Yeah.
important that we're all talking about it because that's how we can truly learn.
Hmm.
Like our perspective of what's going on might be different from someone else's perspective. And in order for
Right.
us to be able to grow as human beings is to basically learn from one another. We all have, different experiences in life, and that's what makes us unique.
Hmm. Yeah. It's really interesting kind of seeing up there's mate.
Oh, hey May, how's it going?
Yeah. How I used to not care about these things, and not that I don't care, it just wasn't my interest. And now, you know, I don't know why, but a lot of things spark my interest now, and especially when it comes to community, racism, and having the right narrative storytelling for that. So
And to piggyback off of that, Katrina, I
yeah,
think it's great that, you're starting to take notice. I think that's really great about what's going on is that, ever since these events with the police have been filmed, people are starting to be aware of the racist tactics of the police and how abusive they are.
yep,
Most people would never have known. Like Will Smith said, racism hasn't really changed. It's just,
yeah,
it's filmed now. And
yeah,
so it's just, I'm really grateful with technology. Shout out to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat,
yeah.
YouTube, even TikTok, because
Hmm.
all of these actions are now being filmed and people are being brought to justice and held accountable for their
Hmm.
actions.
Right. Yeah, and I fall victim to seeing all this, and it's really sad to say, but it's eye-opening, and the veils have been unveiled, and I I think it's time to at least, have these conversations. So, without further ado, let's start talking.
Okay,
Um,
great. Bruce, bring it. Bring it.
so, with these difficult conversations, I just wanted to. Oh, Janelle's on. Hey, Janelle. Janelle's going to be the next girl I want to talk to because she's a filmmaker as well,
Oh,
female.
awesome. Awesome. We
Um,
need more women in film, by
yeah,
the way. We need
yeah,
more women in all industries, period.
right.
Period.
Yeah, definitely.
Equality. Hashtag equality.
Hey. Yeah. So, well, let me ask you, if that's okay, and kind of give you this time to talk about your experience, with the whole racism thing. And I can chime in with my experience too, because I mean, the whole
Yeah.
COVID thing brought in a whole different, surprise to me too.
Yeah, so I have numerous examples, numerous anecdotes, but for the sake of time, I'll limit it. But
Yeah.
probably one of my most memorable encounters with, police and racism, I just happened to be walking down the street to a grocery store. I
Mm-hmm.
made eye contact with a police officer. 30 seconds later, I heard the sirens and I looked back and I saw the cops. I saw the police car, and my first inclination was to run. But I
Mm-hmm.
remembered I'm a black man. I can't do
Mm-hmm.
that. They will shoot me in the back. They
Mm-hmm.
just will. And I just put my hands up and I was just, very polite. Yes, sir. No, sir. The officer was Yeah, he detained me for no reason. He was
Mm-hmm.
asking me, "What's that in your pocket? What's that? Lift up your hat. You might have drugs." Just assuming that I did drugs. Asking me
Mm-hmm.
to lift my hat up to see if there's marijuana there. Just so
Mm-hmm.
just the police officers just are so racist. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked the cop because after I was detained, I asked the cop. I said, "Why was I detained?" And
Mm-hmm.
he told me, um, because you made eye contact with me. And when someone,
Mm-hmm.
makes eye contact with me, I get nervous. And when I get
Mm-hmm.
nervous, I take action. I was like,
Hi,
oh my
Hassan.
God, I'm just glad I didn't reach for my pocket, for a cell phone or anything, because this officer would have shot me. It would have been just like a George Floyd scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just really unfortunate being black, you're targeted by the police, plain
Mm-hmm.
and simple, and it's really sad. A lot of the incidents that you see, innocent people dying, Sandra Bland, George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
Eric Gardner, these people
Mm-hmm.
did nothing wrong. And the police, I'm thinking maybe they fear African Americans, and so they take unwarranted force. When you
Yeah.
say you can't breathe, the police should let up.
Yeah.
Really, it shouldn't be like, oh, this person is maybe lying. No, if someone's saying they can't breathe, give them the benefit of the doubt and
Mm-hmm.
let go.
Mm-hmm.
We all lives matter. Black lives matter. And it's just really unfortunate that with the police, they don't see us that way.
Yeah, I think, I'm even listening and trying to research and, do more understanding of how this is just you're born into just having these extra set of caution rules, right? That a lot of people don't have. Like how, I mean, if you're comfortable growing up, like did your mom, was like how did you were you kind of like prepped up with like, hey,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
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 like,
yeah, exactly,
like it's a
exactly.
different conversation,
Yeah, it
it's
is. It is.
yeah.
Like if you get pulled over by an officer, keep your hands on the wheel.
Hmm.
And if the officer is instructing you to reach for something, tell the officer, I narrate as I'm going to do something. Officer, I'm reaching for my license and
Hmm.
registration. And it's sad, because other races don't really have to experience that. But
Hmm.
life is full of struggles, and we all just have to eventually overcome it. I try not to look at anything like, oh, I'm a victim, oh, I'm black because I have to go through this. No, I just have to work harder in life. That's just how I look at it. Try to have a
Hmm.
a positive outlook on everything.
So how do you feel about how big this um kind of eh, blew in terms of, first it started with Ahmed, and then Amy Cooper. That one was really shocking
Tragic,
to me
tragic.
to
Yeah,
sit, and the fact that she was caught and she kept doing that and kept calling the police was like it was just like, are you not afraid of, what's going to happen? And it's yeah, I and then George Floyd, I'm sure there's so much more, but I think it
there
came
is
in,
Katrina.
yeah, and I think it came with like the perfect kind of combination where you have, everyone's at home. Not only are you stuck with COVID fears, but now, you see all these different types of videos surfacing. Um, what do how do you feel with all of this? Just kind of, is it
I'm just
overwhelming?
glad. It's sad, but I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
that it's coming to fruition where people are able to see what's going on, and so hopefully it will precipitate change. Because
Mm-hmm.
the police are just out of control, and they
Mm-hmm.
need to start being held accountable for their actions. That's why in my opinion, all police officers need to have body cams, because they need some form of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
They have too much power. It's in the words of Johnny Cochran, the person that has the most power is an officer on the beat, because an officer on the beat can change your life in a matter of seconds.
Mm-hmm. That is, it is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't you think it's going to take a lot of change and a lot of legislation? I mean, I feel like this is going to take two generations just to, like, how do you change a culture? How do you change a set of ideals and values and prejudices that I fall victim also to these fears too. I think I told
Well,
you
Katrina, at
and
least
Nathan.
you're trying. At least you're trying. The
Yeah.
police, on the other hand, oh my God, they just like they rather just shoot first before
Hmm.
investigating. At least I think it's great that a lot of people
Hmm.
are reaching out where they want to actually learn more about the Black culture. They want to learn
Yeah.
what their experiences are, and they're marching. I'm so happy when I see so many
Yeah.
different races, marching,
Definitely.
at the protest, and they're questioning what's going on. And I think I think that's wonderful. Unfortunate that these events had to occur for people to actually start learning, but
Yeah.
overall, it's a good thing. It's a good thing in a sense. Other than,
It.
no, I'm not saying it's a good thing because people are dying, but saying it's a good thing that people are starting to take notice.
Hmm. I mean, I think, yeah, I think it has to be, such a big explosion of things for people. It's going not only nationwide but internationally. I
Yes,
saw that there's
yes.
protests in Paris. Yeah.
Paris, London. One of my good
London.
friends from South Africa, he told me that they're
Oh,
protesting
wow.
at the U.S. Embassy. A
Oh
lot of
my
the
gosh.
Africans are mad. So I think, I'm glad that this has become a global concern.
Hmm.
Black lives do matter. We're not saying just our lives matter, but Black lives matter too.
Yeah. I I also feel that everyone's just, I hope this isn't just kind of like a trend. I really hope it keeps going too. With It's just such a great momentum. But I also wanted to ask, with like having these different, that's why I'm having this, guys, is having small ways of having these different difficult conversations is to encourage, just I mean, ideally I want to do it like, of course, like, having it on a bigger scale, but starting small is okay. And I just wanted to encourage my friends, whoever's out there watching, that we should, talk to our friends about this, our family, do something, spark conversations. I think part of this was also watching all these streams, and my experience from all these streams talking about racism really started when I was streaming, and it actually, because of the COVID, it was the Asian Americans that were attacked. Um,
Tragic, very,
yeah,
very tragic.
and
Yeah.
I think that was really humbling, and it taught me a lot about how, it's not just Asians, but opening up kind of like racism everywhere, but to see that happen instantly, because of COVID and the virus, and how it was really tragic. You see kids, their face getting slashed. They weren't even,
Just ridiculous.
there
That
was
is
a
ridiculous.
family of four. This hits a little bit home because they're Burmese. They're not even East Asian, but it was a family of four in Texas, and this 19-year-old slashed like a family. The kid was like maybe four, and his whole face was like
Oh
cut like
my
that. But
God.
it was like scary because yes, a little bit of wokeness for me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so, out of the blue, and all of a sudden it's like we've become kind of the target too at that point. And I think that's when I was like, well, what can we do? Like, um, and then now seeing the whole Black Lives Matter movement was really kind of almost like an answer to my worries, because it's weird. It's like, well, what can we do as a community, right? But in a
Yeah.
bigger scale, like, I also believe like the Black Lives Matter movement is an umbrella to all these other different types of racism that we're facing,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, it first, Black Lives Matter, because you guys were experiencing this from, like, history, slavery and civil rights movement, and then, so I think it's really kind of, you guys are really in the forefront pushing a lot of change that
Yeah, and
really
this,
ripples
yeah,
effect.
yeah, and this would definitely bring about a lot of change, not only for African Americans, but for other races also.
Yeah.
That we need to be more sensitive and we need to learn all from each other.
Hmm.
Really, this is 2020. There shouldn't even
Yeah.
be racism,
Mm.
really,
Well, we're
but
all ingrained. I feel I'm from what I've learned, I feel like you can't really, because it's almost like this double-edged sword where it's like you can't be completely not prejudiced or racist. It's almost like having like good and bad. Like you can't be completely good and you can't be
Yeah,
completely,
yeah. I
but yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we all, have our certain prejudices. I think racism is something that's really taught, as opposed to, something that's like innate. Because if
Hmm.
you look at little kids, little kids don't see race, they see
Hmm.
that as like their friend, and racism is basically, taught by their parents, But as far as like our generation, I don't really see, racism per se. I think it's more of an older generation, where they're used to like their civil rights, they come from the civil rights era and they have their
Hmm.
prejudices, and hopefully, this situation is causing them to rethink their position, because as a society, we need to learn from our mistakes in the past and grow.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. But I'm almost kind of sorry. I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer, but it's like, it's hard.
Yeah,
I think it's almost, uh, questions are raised too, like about our generation and what's, um, inherently taught growing up. Yeah.
yeah.
So, mhm.
Oh, go ahead, Katrina, go ahead.
No, no, you can go.
No, 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 no. Go ahead. You're making very, very good points. And by the way, Katrina, I'm very proud of you, for all your research and for figuring out how I can help, with the movement, how I can, be a better person, how I can be more in tune to, what's going on in other cultures, by all, I'm just really amazed by all of that. So
I think
kudos to
that's
you.
no, no. Well, thank you for joining. Like, all I really wanted was to have just like these conversations, just to start these conversations either within our friend group, and because what better way to learn from each other and to have like a safe circle and environment than to
Yeah,
start,
yeah, that's
with,
awesome.
yeah. So how have you felt with, now kind of with current events? Let's talk about the four arrests of these officers.
It's a
Um,
blessing. I'm so happy to see that justice is being served. Especially,
mhm,
I think you're just as guilty if you saw what was going on and you did not try to stop it. If someone was saying, I can't breathe, I would have definitely, ran over there and said, get your knee off of him. What the hell is
mhm,
wrong with you?
mhm.
Just inhumane. It's just really sickening. If you watch the full video and you just saw how much pain he was in and how he
Yeah,
was gasping for air, oh my
it's
God.
hard. It was
Just
really hard seeing that because that was a day, I don't know when the official date was released, but it was a day right after the Amy Cooper incident. And I was like, oh my gosh, not another, and to hit kind of more close, there was an Asian officer involved. I don't, now they've arrested the rest finally. I don't know why it took so long. I'm not
yeah.
sure
Yeah, I know. That's
what the
terrible.
reasoning
It took
is.
that many days, for them to be
Yeah,
arrested,
this is,
crazy.
yeah. So, but I think that was hard actually to, see that there was an Asian officer involved. That was really sad because I'm like, okay, what does this mean for the Asian community? But what I've learned from all this was that, the Asian community, a lot of advocacy groups are owning it and saying, hey, we have to say like this isn't right either, and be, uh, part of it, these voices, and supporting whether it's bad, and owning up to these, officers, whether they're Asian or not, or supporting in any way that they can. Yeah,
And I understand, being a cop is a tough job, and I know
it seems scary.
they have a
Hmm.
brotherhood, because their partner, is their person that is there for them no matter what. If they're in a jam or they're getting ready to die, they look out for each other. I get it, but
Yeah.
wrong is wrong. If some,
Hmm.
so I understand it's a tough job. I was watching Chris Rock the other day, and he said, being a cop, there's no room for bad apples. There's
Yeah.
just some professions where you can't have bad apples. And he made a good analogy. He was talking about, for instance, pilots. It's like American Airlines saying, we usually have good pilots, but we
Yeah.
have a few bad apples that like to fly into mountains.
Yeah.
Something you
Hmm.
just can't have, and that
Hmm.
just really just cannot be tolerated. So they definitely need to, clean up the police force and get rid of the bad officers. For some officers, it's like
Yeah.
a video game for them, really.
Hmm.
They're that bored in life. If you're that bored in life, just get a PlayStation and play Call of Duty. These are people's lives that you're dealing with right here. Like his death affects his daughter, and it's just,
Hmm.
and like his fiance,
Hmm.
just in so many people. That's why Chance the Rapper has a song. He's like, everybody is somebody's everything, and that's how I feel.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this video too. It's kind of funny. I should have sent it to
Oh,
you.
which video? Which video?
It was some McDonald's video. It was like this officer, and he was in like a group of like protesters, and he was like, um, if we were at McDonald's and we had one bad hamburger, that doesn't make all the hamburgers
Oh,
bad. And then
oh,
there's like this end. They're like, what the fuck does that mean? But it's
oh my,
true. I was like
yeah,
laughing at some people's
yeah.
background.
Unfortunately, a bad hamburger's not gonna kill somebody. Unfortunately, and I understand. You can't, regulate everybody because there's so many people on the force. But
Yeah.
they should have like some sort of psychologist there, that's constantly examining them to make sure that they're fit to be out on patrol. It's something
So
where, yeah.
it's true. That I believe, but I think that's so hard to regulate, especially if we are talking about systematic racism. Um, like, it seems like, these bad apples, sometimes it's meant to be these types of apples to be in the system. It, like you said, if it is a brotherhood. I'm not, you know what, like I do know people who work in the police force, and I don't think all of them are bad either. I'm not saying all of them are bad, but
I think
it's
it's great that you have that type of mindset, really. I wish I could be that
no,
optimistic. I really do, Chris. Even though like
because
my skin is fairer, is lighter than some people,
yeah.
and I would never understand their struggle. Those that are of the darker complexion, but just for myself, I
Hmm.
really never met a good cop. Really, I can honestly say that. I wish I would have been able to, but honestly, I've never met a good cop, Katrina.
I think it's so sad to hear that, you know?
And,
Um,
and to also elaborate on systematic racism, I didn't experience that much racism in California. When I moved into New York City, my
mm,
God, I received a lot of racism. Trying to get a cab in Brooklyn took me like an hour and a half.
wow.
I would think that money talks. Thank God for Uber and Lyft,
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
because they don't discriminate. Cab drivers discriminate heavily.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yeah, I remember I was in a cab
Hmm.
one night in I think in Upper Manhattan, and every time we approached a red light, the cab driver would lock the doors. And then as soon as we would leave from the light, he would unlock the doors. And he kept doing this on
Oh,
every
wow.
occasion. And so I told him, I said, "Look, sir, I am a Columbia student. I'm not going
Mm,
to run out on the fare. Trust me." And,
hmm.
really. And it's just sad, that's racism right there. I
Hmm.
feel bad if maybe he had some sort of experiences with African Americans,
Yeah.
and he felt like he had to, treat everyone like that, but that's not the case. And so I'm just glad that technology has made our lives easier, and I'm able to call an Uber or a Lyft to get to my destination.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to hear. Uh,
And it's not just me. Oh, I'll tell you, okay, also, Katrina, the only place I could get a cab easily is in Harlem. That's the only
hmm.
place in New York City, Harlem. Trying to, Brooklyn, I'm surprised, and I never knew Brooklyn. I didn't, as an outsider,
Hmm.
LA native, California native, I never knew about real racism other than from
Hmm.
the police and some teachers that I had. My mom, tried to, you know, um, give me the best education possible, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, in America, property values determine the quality of the education. So I always went to
Yeah.
school in areas that were, um, more wealthy than where I was currently living. And so I was usually the only black
Hmm.
kid in school. And man, some teachers were so racist, you know.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give me fair grades,
Mm.
you know, they would really, and I'm just glad I have a
Mm.
mother that, you know, really takes a strong interest in my life because, you know, really I've dealt with racism from probably first grade to basically graduating high school. You know, I'm glad when I
Yeah.
went to college, I didn't necessarily experience that from
I was
professors.
gonna
So,
ask, yeah, like, did
yeah,
you? I mean, I know we met from college, and but I was gonna ask, like, did you receive any of that when you were a student at USC?
not at
Or,
USC, which
mm.
is great. Fight on. You know, really on the campus, people are typically colorblind. So I think that's really awesome. You know, yeah, fight on. You know,
Well,
so
USC has been under a lot of fire too, in general.
yeah, hopefully, you
But
know, there will be no more scandals. You know, hopefully we'll get the football team
we'll
back
save
up,
that
you
for
know.
another day. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but I think it's helpful to. Oh, hey, all these people are joining. Lillian, cousin here. Hello to all that's joined and who's here or who's left, but having difficult conversations with friends. Hey, Keaton! Keaton's cool too. Keaton I'd like to ask about his opinion, but I worked on set with Keaton. Keaton's from Atlanta,
Okay,
and
awesome. Shout out
but
to A. Okay.
yeah, yeah. The reason why I'm having this, guys, I feel like I always have to repeat just so that we know what's going on, is so that we can have these conversations. You know, there's so much going on, and I feel so inclined to just have a safe space, whether we're talking to our friends, our family, if we're bold enough to do that, our parents, brothers, sisters, and I just wanted to have a super chill conversation talking about Black Lives Matter, the racism, systematic racism, and I just want to know your opinions, and to learn from each other and to have these um, difficult conversations, but in a safe way. So what better not to ask our friends, who can,
Awesome.
yeah. So, moving on with kind of like the conversation is we were talking about how these four officers finally all got arrested. And you know what? We had this conversation. I wish your mom was on because we had like an off-camera call. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we were figuring out. So, one, yes, the main officer, Derek, how do you pronounce it? Derek Chauvin?
I have
Yeah,
no idea how to
Derek.
pronounce his
Well,
last name.
so he is the main officer that killed George Floyd, unfortunately. And
Rest in power, George.
yeah, rest in power, George.
Rest in
Um,
power.
rest
Rest in
in
power,
power.
George.
Yes, rest in power, George. Man. Um, but and it's really interesting how he's tied to his wife, who is also Asian too. His wife is they're Hmong. She's Hmong, but they're having a divorce apparently. Um,
And she's changing
and
her last name, which is
is she
very, very
changing her?
smart.
I feel like there's new
Yeah.
news like by the second.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
changing
Yeah,
her
there
last name.
there is.
Yeah, and apparently the Asian cop Tao, I think, is not related to
Interesting.
Derek Chauvin's
Interesting.
wife.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
did some research, and because I'm in the pageant industry, I used to be in pageant. It was really interesting seeing that his ex-wife was also like a pageant winner of some sort, like Minneapolis. I
Wow.
know
Wow.
she's wearing a crown. I
Wait, wait,
mean,
so wait, he has a wait, is this his ex-wife or does he have
his
a
ex-wife.
previous he has a
No, no,
previous okay,
ex-wife,
okay. Oh, he doesn't have a
ex-wife.
previous, okay.
No,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
saw that too. I was like that lucky guy, you know, like she's pretty by the way, you know. I was like, how did he, you know, how is he able to, you know, wife her, you know, but good for him in a sense.
I mean,
I'm
I don't
sorry
know.
for
He
my
seems
digression. I'm
really,
sorry for my digression. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, no, no. We're just having these conversations. It's supposed to be chill and open. But going back, we're still trying to figure out if the other two, or the one of them, his name is something Kyung. I should have written it down.
Come on,
Um, I
Katrina.
know.
I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
just
so
messing with
chill
you.
that
I'm so messing with
I'm
you.
not ready for the names. I think his name is Jeffrey. Jeffrey Kyung. And I thought he was Asian too, but I don't think that there I couldn't I mean I tried to research, but um you know what's funny though, guys? Like, okay, because I'm in media, what I've learned from camera angles, exclude the messy, loud background, unless I'm trying to cover my room with my shoulders. Um, like is how media portrays the camera angles and what media portrays in the outline of even the photos. So I think it's very telling of how they put the orders of the police officers. So when you look at the photos released by, I think, and was it CNBC, uh, the most recent photos of these four police officers, it's Chavin. No, it goes left to right, and the reason why it goes left to right, in terms of like the order, is because naturally people's eye line, when you look on the screen, goes left to right. So they put the Asian guy first, and then Derek, the main officer who killed George Floyd, and then it was the third guy, Jeffrey Kyung, and then the fourth other officer, I don't remember his last name, but it was interesting to see why. I'm always curious to know, like, why would you put, the minority faces first? I think it goes, and not.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that plays a very. I do believe that. I do believe the order and how you portray your images in media, and the angle that you put it, is it tells a lot on how, you want to portray a certain type of person or a certain race, who's portrayed first, left to right,
yeah.
and why isn't
Exactly,
Derek
exactly.
Chauvin, but and it's like it goes back to like, what do you want your audience to see and how do you want them portrayed? So go back to the photos, guys. It's really interesting. I find it really interesting that the white cops, it's a little bit zoomed out. So it's like
Yeah,
they're not really focused, but like the two minorities, they're like up in your face like this. And I'm like, why is that? Why is that? And you know what, that reminds me of I saw that so Trump he gave like a, I guess, like there was this Asian kid somewhere in the Midwest. I'm like totally that but he gave there's this kid, like 14-year-old, this Asian kid who was like he was like raising money for COVID. I don't know if it was like for, the front lines, like the nurses, hospital healthcare. He raised like 14, I don't know, don't quote me, but this Asian kid was only 14. And so they had this like award ceremony, and the poor kid, man, like, you see Trump and it looks almost like it really matters how you angle the camera, guys. Like, it can give you power too if you're like upright, and or if you're kind of like awkward, like kind of the poor kid. Like, I kid you not, it's on Asians Never Die Instagram too, but which is another Asian media. It hit the freaking camera, like this mic is like in his face like this. He's like, hi guys, like I just wanted to thank everybody. And I was just like, dude, I can't even see the kid's face. Like, why is media covering his face like that? I'm sure that there's more than one angle, but that's another thing you should look forward to, is how is media portraying, what's the difference between Trump and how he gives his his interviews, and like this kid who raised, like there's a very, 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 very big difference. And I do believe it's how media portrays even power on screen, like,
yeah,
yeah. So I think you guys should look into it. It's really interesting.
yeah. I just
Um,
want to say shout out to the kid that raised money for COVID. I think that is awesome. Really, that's definitely a noble cause. I wish I would have actually did more for COVID. But shout out to that kid.
yeah. I mean, same here. It's scary how we're having COVID and um,
Protests.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
protests.
like it's really,
Hmm.
kind of scary because with the protests, people have their mask off and then they cough and other people can get infected. And
Yeah,
especially
I'm
with
curious.
like the tear gas, so it's actually more advantageous to definitely wear a mask if you're,
Hmm.
having tear gas thrown at you. So yeah, everyone be safe at the protests. Make sure you have a mask, not only for your health, but for others too.
Yeah, I wish I could be out there too, but it is scary with the whole COVID thing. I wanted to go, but also at home. I don't want to bring any COVIDs home, you know. It's the last
Oh
thing I want.
yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. If you have any relatives that are elderly or that
Hmm.
can be, easily infected because of their immune system, definitely it's best to, stay inside, definitely. So that's
Yeah,
honorable, Katrina. That is very admirable. I mean, very admirable.
I'm not. I think it just helps to be able to, talk to friends and have these difficult or interesting conversations, you know. Um, so going back to like these officers, we were talking about earlier, kind of like first degree, first, second, and third degree murder. Um, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was speaking to my mother earlier, and she was saying that it would be more advantageous for him to be charged with third degree mu murder because it was manslaughter. With second degree, he had to have some sort of intent, and in order to have intent, you have to like know the individual or have like
Hmm.
or something along those lines. And so there's a probability that this individual can get off, which is very, very unfortunate.
Hmm.
So hopefully justice will definitely be served to not only Derek, but also the remaining officers that were involved in this scenario
Hmm.
or in the
So,
death of George Floyd. Yes.
so why is there, I'm not, a lawyer, but I'm trying to learn too. So what we were saying, which one she was saying, your mom was saying the first or the second was harder because if they were trying to prove that he was racist, it was harder because he was married to an Asian
Yeah,
woman.
yeah,
That's
yeah, unfortunately.
interesting.
Okay.
But
And you can
how,
go ahead. Go
well,
ahead,
I'm just
Katrina.
curious to know why that is so. Yeah. So does that mean, it's an interesting. So racism is not, it can't, in order to prove that you're not a racist, it means that you have to be racist to all types of people.
Well,
I don't understand the law.
well, he can have the potential of saying that, I'm not a racist. I'm not married to someone within my race. If I was a true racist, another race would not be, good enough for me. Different things along those lines, and so unfortunately, he could probably, argue something like that, or his defense attorney would argue something of, to that nature. And then it's no surprise, Katrina, why they have the minority, pictured first in the lineup of officers, because they're trying to
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, we're not racist. This guy was probably good friends with, the Asian cop. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. So like
Hmm.
I can just
Hmm.
imagine the defense attorney is probably gonna, pull some sort of, non-racist BS to basically prove his client's innocence. So hopefully that is not the case. This guy definitely needs to serve, I, you know, time. I would like for him to serve life. That would give him
Yeah.
time to think about his actions, and that you
Hmm.
shouldn't take a life.
Yeah.
Everyone's life matters. That way, that daughter's never going to be able to see her dad ever
Yeah.
again.
How
That's
old is
very,
his
very
daughter?
tragic.
Do you know? Is
I'm
she
not
really young?
sure. Was she 9 years old? I'm not 100%
Oh.
sure.
Hmm.
I'm just saying that's very, very tragic. And then have to see your father, get murdered on, with the video. God, that's just so tragic.
Yeah,
Shout
that's
out to
really
her.
sad.
I know she has a tough life ahead of her, but you
Hmm.
know, um, at least that, the one good thing is that her dad precipitated a movement in America, for the
Yeah.
betterment of, of all races. Unfortunately, he had to die for that to occur.
Hmm.
That's the shameful aspect of it.
Hmm. Yeah, it is such a shame, that something like this has to happen, and he wouldn't be able to see how much of an impact. But I'm glad that it's happening during our lifetime. This is really a very extremely interesting time where not only is the whole nation, but internationally having these protests and riots for Black Lives Matter, but it's during the COVID-19 virus. I just feel like it's, oh my gosh, there's just so much going on. And, um, but my greatest hope is that one, friends who are still watching, repeating myself again, that we can have these conversations. That's my have these conversations with our friends, our family, Wayne, by the way, is my college friend, USC, and I just wanted to start small by talking to friends and kind of, having these smaller talks about racism and these difficult conversations. Because if we don't talk about it, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's
Exactly.
great to research, and it's good. I mean, I would stay up late sometimes just trying, because I'm such a scared. Guys, it took me so long to call and to do this because I was so scared. Wayne's like, you should do this. I've been like so scared
Exactly.
to do this.
Hashtag Katrina speaks.
Hashtag Katrina speaks. It's scary because it's like it's as much as passionate as I am about these issues, it's like it's so scary and to represent or talk about a community when, I definitely want to make sure I have the right backing to, but I think it was really interesting. If people have seen the Obama town hall, he had a bunch of great things to say. It made me really sad and I missed him a lot. But it's true. Like, there's no way we can really condense 400 years of this uh, whole movement of racism, systematic racism towards the Black community. There's no way, outside looking in, I can ever understand your situation, Wayne. But there's definitely ways we can, little ways. I sometimes feel so like trapped and sad. What can we do, right? With all that's going on. But I think it really helps to like drag it to, or pull it down to a smaller scale where it's like, hey, these little things, these talks, um, you know, people are listening right now, and what better time than to start having these uh, difficult conversations. Um, yeah. So wanted to ask also, you know, with all that's going on, what do you really think about the whole officers, and what do you think is going to happen to them?
Oh, I would like to see all of them get 20 years at least.
But do you think it's actually going to
That
happen?
hopefully, with the Black Lives Movement, and all the protesting, I think
Hmm.
we've made our voices clear to the DA and to, the judge, hopefully in this case, that justice will prevail, that we will not rest until we receive justice, for
Hmm.
George Floyd's death, that his death should have never happened. And hopefully the police will start to enact proper training procedures. You don't have to choke someone or abuse someone to arrest
Yeah.
them. And this individual should sometimes, and the individual sometimes should not even be arrested at all. Sometimes you could just have an easy conversation with the individual as opposed to, getting extremely violent with the individual.
Hmm.
It's really, really sad. It just reminds me of all the past individuals that have died,
Hmm.
Sandra Bland, and other individuals.
Yeah.
It's really sad. They need to start really weeding out the bad cops. Have some sort of psychology exam like every 2 months.
Hmm.
Because I think that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and cops are extremely arrogant,
Mm.
unfortunately. I think a lot of the times the badge has gone to their head, and they think they're
Mm.
basically God, and
Mm.
that they can do whatever they want, and there's no consequences. So hopefully now with this movement, we have made our voices heard, and that cops will start to be held liable for their actions, and they will stop profiling African Americans and other races also, not just African Americans. So I'm
Hmm.
just praying that justice will be swift and that we can move on better and have a better mindset and understand each other, moving forward.
So, do you think, how hard is it to change? I think even just understanding sociology and mental health, even, is like, or any mistake that we've been through, is the person itself. Like, we have to know that we're doing something wrong. Like, don't you think that's a conscious thing too? Like, if we to accept, our bad behavior, we have to be aware of that. I think that's, I'm just playing
Yeah.
devil's advocate right
Oh,
now.
no, no,
It's
no.
like,
And
yeah.
the cops need to be aware of their actions. Killing someone is not okay. It's never the solution.
Hmm.
Never the solution. That needs to be made clear to them,
Hmm.
really. So, I understand, being a cop is a tough job. My grandfather was the first African American sheriff in Orange County, and he always told me
Hey,
that he would,
wait, let's talk
yeah,
about this.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't know
yeah,
that. You always like
yeah.
I thought your grandfather was a DA. He was?
Oh, he was,
Oh my gosh.
before he was a sheriff,
Mm.
and actually,
Oh wow.
interesting scenario, interesting situation. He went to law school because a USC judge recommended it to him, and he was appointed. Yeah, he was
Oh.
recommended by a USC judge, so that's how he was able to become a district
Mm-mm.
attorney. But when he was a sheriff, he told me that he would rather be carried by 12. No, he would rather be tried by six than no, he'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by six.
What does that mean?
And see, so he would rather, protect his own life, before going to jail. He would
Mm-hmm.
rather, that's why, which is even though that's my grandfather, that's not a good mindset to have,
Mm-hmm.
really. I would rather, do the right thing in every situation. And cops are compensated for their positions. If you don't know how much
Mm.
police officers make, go to Transparent California. Officers' income starts at about 70,000, but they really make all their money
Ooh.
with overtime. So they're really making
Oh,
at least 125K a year. So I'm
wow.
very happy with like Black Lives Matters trying to, defund LAPD, which is I
Crackdown.
think a great
Yeah,
option
I
because
saw.
if you're not going to protect the citizens, why are you there? If you're going to just, cause havoc and kill people, innocent people, or
Mm-hmm.
people with, minor crimes, and you don't need to be there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
really sickening. Really to see. I'm tired of seeing African Americans die by the
Mm-hmm.
hands of cops in this country. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping with
it's
this
horrific.
situation that will precipitate change.
So I'm really interested to learn about your grandfather's experience being the first, you said the
First
first
African
African
male
American
and
in
sheriff
Orange
in Orange
County.
County.
What year was this?
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure.
Mm.
I just remember he told me, when he first became a DA, he had to take a pay cut because the sheriff's office was paying more.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
Do you
yeah,
think that still
yeah,
applies
yeah.
now?
In some aspects, yeah, like I encourage everyone
Oh,
to go to
wow.
Transparent California. You can see the salaries of all
Mm.
public servants, especially you can see how much the police officers are making, how much the sheriffs are making. They're making really, really good money. Even in areas like New York City, they're starting out pretty much making 160K.
That's
So this whole
crazy.
notion that cops
Woo!
don't make anything is BS, really. It's bullshit.
Wow. It's interesting to hear, and like you said, they should have more exams to kind of test their competency. It's
Yeah,
sad to say,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, because
if
yeah,
you uh not but what is it? There's EQ and IQ. I think it's also really important. I mean, I get scared when someone catcalls me in general, like, but to be able to train yourself so that you won't necessarily react out of fear, like me, like maybe it's like you said before, it could be their reaction is fear, or I don't know what it could be. Maybe it could be anger, racism,
well,
but
I've talked to some cops and they love violence,
oh,
really. Like some
really?
of them say like, it was boring last night. There was no action. I'm like, well, if you want action, just play a video game. Really, this is
Yeah,
people's lives right here. You can
yeah.
affect someone's livelihood for the rest of their life. Like Sandra Bland, she was getting back on her feet.
Mm,
Couldn't get a job and she was getting back on her feet. And she was
mm,
arrested for no reason, and she ended
mm-hmm.
up committing suicide because she in her mind she
Oh,
thought
wow.
that she would not be able to get a job having a criminal record, which most likely is true being black. You're going against the grain, so we don't have the same advantages as other
Mm-hmm.
individuals. If you look at top corporations, like even in if you look at top corporations, you don't see really too many black executives, and that's just
Mm.
something that we have to work harder to overcome. And again, it's
Or Asians.
systematic racism, yeah, or
Mm.
Asians, but shout out to corporations
Minorities
like
in general.
Microsoft and Google. They're doing wonderful things. You see minorities leading their companies, but it's unfortunate that you're not seeing other companies following suit.
Yeah. It's it is really eye-opening, to see all of these companies all of a sudden just posting about how they're supportive of all of this, but it's like, is it just lip service, or are you guys gonna actually, be
Yeah, exactly. Is this
intentional?
just good PR? You're trying to, capitalize on the movement, trying
Mm,
to,
yeah.
increase shareholder wealth, yeah, it's interesting to see, but I just think it's at least a step in the right direction, so I'm happy to see that, our voices are being heard in this situation.
Yeah, definitely. It's a crazy time, but I really hope too that we can just all, listen to each other there and be able to talk about, even our insecurities or our fears when it comes down to racism. And but the sad thing is that something horrible like this has to happen in order for some kind of
Yeah,
change. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
sad to say.
yeah, it's really sad, that this has to happen. Why can't there be, the initiative like, okay, let's actually try to talk to our police force so they're not so gone crazy, or they'll be more sympathetic, that we don't always have to, the first solution is not always to arrest the person. Let's see what the situation is about. Let's try to
Hmm.
talk it out. Just it's really sad. The first thing they do is to, start being violent, arresting people. It's just ridiculous.
Mm.
I'm proud of people like Eric Garcetti taking a knee, basically saying he's with the community.
Mm.
So,
Hmm.
at least LA is moving, in the right direction, so very, very happy to see that taking place.
Yeah, and I thought it was really encouraging to hear at Obama's town hall speak about how everyone, this requires everyone, in all types of industry. I'm not trying to, my chicken scratch I wrote because I was so inspired, so I watched it like 3 times. He said, it involves, we all have a role to play. We all have a part to play.
True,
And
true.
he also, what really, hit home to me, because I'm a filmmaker and I think it's really hard being in film, trying to say, like, yeah, we have a voice and we can encourage, like, media is such a powerful tool to be able to inspire, encourage our true, authentic stories, So that was really inspiring to see that Obama was mentioning how, it's there's people who are protesting, which we need. There are people who are in the office, running political offices, who we need. And there are also people in all different sectors, writers who, and what we're doing, even talking and having these conversations about racism and systematic racism, and inequalities, you know. But what we really, I think it's, I hope that we can all have these conversations, not just with ourselves, but, like, bring it to even, in the corporate. It says I have 2 minutes remaining. Oh, all right. I don't know why it says that, but I have 2 minutes remaining. Is there anyone that has questions? I wasn't paying attention. Hi to all the friends out there. Does
Hi
anybody
to
have a?
Katrina's friends.
I think your friends are on here too.
Okay,
Whoever's on
I'll
here.
check. I'll check later. I'll check.
But hi to everybody. I'm just reading up on the screens right now. Somebody said people just did the 9 p.m. lights for the 8 minutes 46 seconds. Oh, that's interesting. I'm free, Lynn free. I don't know who that is. Some people are just here to join, which is great. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you
We're
for
just having,
joining.
no, anyone
Sorry,
have a
Katrina.
question? What? Did you want to say
Oh,
anything?
no, no, no. I was just
We
gonna
got
end it like
one
hashtag
minute.
Katrina speaks.
Hashtag, because I was scared. I was really scared to, I don't even know how to save this, but I was scared to do this, even just to talk about, because I don't want to offend a community and I don't want to say something wrong and be politically incorrect. But you know what? It all starts from having the right heart and the mindset and learning. And any last words, any questions, you guys, or any last words from you? You have 46 seconds, Wayne,
Okay.
before they go ahead. No?
Oh, me or
Yeah,
does
you,
someone have a question?
you.
I just
Oh,
want to say thank you to everybody that, tuned in. I think it's great that we're all learning from each other, and I'm really proud of America. A lot of people are joining the Black Lives Matter movement, and
Mm.
they're marching along with us, and so I just want to say thank you so much. You know, you guys
Yeah.
are
Thank you guys.
amazing. I'm happy to call all of you my friends. Thank you.
Perfect ending. We got 10 seconds left. Thank you guys. Thank you, friends. Have these different conversations at home. And I'm going to sign off now. 3 seconds ago. Thank you guys. Bye.